Center City basically is a huge square. It was lit up at night, cafes everywhere, shops everywhere, bicycles, you can get on. Really close to the beach. That's where you walk down and get your beach access. All on the beach, there's like a boardwalk. There's all types of restaurants with day lounge chairs basically that you can go into the restaurant and rent the lounge chairs to lounge out on the beach. Really reminiscent of something probably you'll see like in South Beach, but it's in France. So yeah, we were really close to that, and I would say a half a mile walk, maybe a little bit more. And that's the other thing, we did a lot of walking, which I thought was really great. For this particular vacation, this was not the type of vacation that you go on and you gain 5 pounds, because we were walking every day, minimum a mile a day. So we ate a lot of great food. I'm gonna talk about the food. I loved it, but we walked a lot, we exercised a lot, and we saw a lot. The architecture is beautiful. Being somewhere like France, it really opened my eyes to living in America basically my whole life. Like, you don't see the type of architecture that I saw in France. You won't see that here because we don't have that type of history here. In the US, something Tony reminded me that we're basically one of the newest, countries. So you go to other countries and there's all these monuments and statues and architectures and buildings that have been here since the beginning of time, and it's like mind-blowing to look at. So you just see that in just walking down the street, just the neighborhoods that we were in, the buildings, the opera house I took a picture of. I'll show you guys that. It was just like beauty and everything. And I love art. So it was just kind of like art and beauty and everything almost that I saw there. It was captivating. Even the Airbnb that we stayed in, the first one, we stayed in 2, and I'll talk to you guys about that. The first one we stayed at is the one that I'm talking about right now. Oh, I fell in love with the windows. Something that simple. They had the like floor to ceiling windows, and I'm gonna show you guys that as well, because I fell in love with the windows. They're just beautiful. Really, really high ceiling in our apartment. Our first apartment was pretty small, but the space was used well. Tony, his opinion is that the space was used better in the first apartment than the second apartment we stayed in. After some thought, I think I agree with him. Only one con is that the shower was like tiny. The shower was a matchbox, so it was hard to kind of move around the shower and clean yourself, but whatever, we made do. The second Airbnb we stayed in was on our way back from Paris, so I'll talk about that. We took a train ride from Nice to Paris, and then back from Paris back to Nice, because we had to fly out of Nice. So we got an Airbnb for like one night before we had to fly out. And that one, the bathroom was much bigger. It was just much bigger, period. And they crammed a lot more stuff in the space. So there was a lot more going on in the space. But, So I want to talk a little bit about the culture. So we all hear like French people are rude, they'll bump into you and not say excuse me, and all these perceptions, and I did not bump into anybody literally or figuratively that was rude. Everybody was nice and welcoming. And I'm usually pretty aware and understanding of cultural differences. I think sometimes we mistake cultural differences, we interpret them as being rude or what have you. So, you did hear these, like our tour guide in Paris at the Louvre brought up, some of the perceptions that are out there about French people, about them being rude and bumping into you. And the way that she explained it, interpreted it, is more so that they're just so carefree about certain things. They don't harp on certain things as much as we do in America. Like if you bump into somebody, a lot of times, even if they bump into you, you're like, oh my God, excuse me, I'm sorry. You keep apologizing. Whereas the mentality of the French is like, it's no big deal. Keep going, keep walking. So if they do bump into you and keep walking, culturally, it's not that they're being rude. They don't give it as much energy as we do. So, that being said, while I was there, I think I did bump into somebody or have somebody bump into me and they said, excuse me or whatever. So it wasn't, I didn't get that, French people are rude or don't like Americans, none of that. Everybody was really, really cool. And we met cool people along the way. We met a couple from the UK. Everybody talks and stops and talks, and you share these exchanges, and it's just, it's a wonderful experience. Things that you meet people that you would not otherwise meet if you weren't traveling. The food. Okay, so I did not have a bad meal in France. Let me take that even further. I did not have a meal that was less than amazing in France. You know how sometimes we were there for almost 2 weeks, and there's generally something within a 2-week period of time that you'll have. It'll be like, oh, that was just okay, or that could have been better. Not one meal that I had that I wasn't like blown away with. Even like something as simple as we went out to a small cafe one late night and had little wings and fries and mozzarella sticks. Even that was like amazing to the palate. We ate a lot of fish and seafood. We're in the French Riviera, we're right in the ocean. So again, if any of you guys have been to, like say Miami, they have that whole restaurant row where the people who work in the restaurants are out, showing you their fresh catch of the day, their lobsters, their prawns, whatever their fresh catch is of the day. You're right on the ocean. So anywhere you travel that you're close to the ocean, you're going to get a lot of seafood. So y'all know I am a seafood lover. I could eat seafood morning, afternoon, night, every day. So I ate as much as I could. But the food was magnificent. The breads, everything is freshly baked. We stopped at a lobster place that specializes in lobster rolls. The roll tastes like it was freshly baked. It was drenched in butter. The lobster was juicy and sweet and amazing. Everything was great, you guys. Now, one of the main things that I was looking forward to, and it did not disappoint, was the open air market in France. Now, I've talked about this before, and I'll say it again. I wanted to go to the French Riviera for years, over 10 years now. I've been dreaming about going to Nice, going to Cannes, going to Saint-Tropez, Monaco. I've always wanted to see these places. So over the years, I've heard nothing but all these amazing things about this open air market in Nice. It's famous. You have to see it. It did not disappoint, you guys. And I'll show you guys some footage that we got from the open air market. I brought back some spices that I've been using in the kitchen religiously. We bought back some handmade soaps for gifts. So upset. I got what I love, my garlic infused olive oil, but it got confiscated at the airport. I don't know what I was thinking. I had it on in my carry-on bag, got confiscated. But brought home all my spices. That's the main thing, the spices. Amazing. I have a wine infused pepper. I have a salt, a Himalayan salt with a chili pepper. I have a really coarse salt with herbs. And I'll tell you about these spices. They're so fragrant and so strong. I learned the first time I cooked with them that you only need a tiny, tiny bit because they're so strong and so fragrant. And that just reminds me even more, like, what is this stuff that we're using over here? This, you know, the little seasoning salt or whatever you get. It's so dummied down, I think, with a lot of artificial fillers and preservatives, and you need so much more of it to get the flavor, whereas these natural spices are just like, boom, they're just, you know, like you see the chefs using on television. That's something that I compare to. When you see them only using a sprinkle, that's why. That's all you need. This stuff is so awesome, so fragrant. So the fresh food market did not disappoint. There's fishermen out there selling fresh fish, prawns, lobsters, whatever.
You know who else may like that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Just this.
Sign on.
So yeah, it did not disappoint. It did not disappoint at all. Now I'll tell you this. What we did learn, if anybody else is thinking about traveling to Nice and checking out the market, it is there. It's not there on Monday. Not the fresh produce and foods. On Monday, it's an antique market. So we went on a Monday. We're wandering around. We see all these vendors out with antiques. We're like, what's going on? Right? And, you know, just to say, I saw a few vendors with some really cool stuff, some really like vintage Chanel, vintage Louis Vuitton, but you know, so if you're into that, that is definitely worth checking out. But I was there for the farmers market. And so we walk through, we get all the way to the end, and it's like, obviously there's no farmers market here. So I asked the lady at the end of the market, you know, excuse me. She's like, oh, no. She just cussed me out. No. Bonjour. We say bonjour here first. You don't just walk up, yep. And I was like, okay. First day there, got checked immediately, okay? So that's the first lesson. If anybody's traveling to France, don't approach anybody without saying bonjour first, okay? Lesson learned. So I had to rewind that tape, bonjour, you know, and proceed with my question. And then she went on to inform me that the open air market is every other day of the week besides Monday. So yeah, it just touched on that a little bit more. The other thing that's different there, even when you go to a restaurant, you walk in the restaurant, you seat yourself, you sit down, you say bonjour, you greet, you know, whoever the person is there, and then they will come serve you. It's not like here in America where you go and there's a hostess that greets you. Like, they want, you know, they're doing what they can to serve you. It's like you have to acknowledge them, you know, almost as if it's a privilege for you to be here, for, you know, you to have our food and so on and so forth. So yeah, this is interesting. While I'm on food a little bit, I have got to talk about the espressos, okay? We fell in love with espressos while we were in France. I will say that. The Airbnb that we stayed in had an espresso machine. The first morning